Frank. What's the weirdest thing you've ever saw in here?
Let me ask you a question, kid. Did you see that movie, Night of the Living Dead?
Hey, we gonna party tonight or what?
Yeah, we are gonna party.
Well, where are we gonna party?
I don't know, somewhere.
Hey, we could go to the park.
Oh, no, we can't. The cops said they'd shoot us if we go back to the park. Yeah, and I ain't in no mood to go tonight.
I like death.
And welcome to minute 76 of Do You Want to Party, the Movies by Minute podcast for the 1985 groundbreaking horror classic, The Return of the Living Dead. I'm your host, Troy, and for this minute we are being joined by a repeat offender.
Hey, it's Daniel.
Yes, Daniel, thank you for coming back again on such short notice for this particular thing. We just had Dan on last week, and he was available for me an emergency at the last minute because, well, unfortunately, I failed to secure an actual co-host, and instead of doing yet another solo episode, Dan graciously decided, I can help you out. And I'm like, yay, Dan. All right, so that being said, we're just going to start off with this movie. This minute is going to start off with footage stolen from Police Squad, and then ends with Freddy stumbling through the halls. Okay, so our view through the front windshield of the police vehicle gives us a POV of the car as it races away from the funeral home, leaving Tina and Ernie behind as it carries Bert and Spider to a hopeful advancement towards a solution for the situation. As the driver, Bert, steers the police squad car through the cemetery, he curses loudly.
Fuck you!
The view whipping around as corpses dodge out of the way of the speeding object. After a few wild twists in its trajectory, Bert aims for the now closed doors of the entry gate of the Resurrection Cemetery. In an almost calculated calm voice, Bert gives a warning.
Hang on, here we go.
As the headlights emulate the metal door on the outside, the double doors fly off their hinges while the cop car doesn't slow down. The now abandoned shopping cart, filled with scraps and garbage, is the next victim of Bert's hectic driving. It's crushed against the front of the vehicle, as the contents are flung everywhere in an instant. While the metal gateway doors fly over the roof of the cop car, ripping the spinning red and blue lights from their anchor. As the vehicle drives on, the removed lights, cemetery gate, and contents of the shopping cart come to rest near and around Suicide's abandoned car. From the passenger side, Spider curses his request of the new plan.
What the fuck are we gonna do now?
Both men faces not only sweaty but filthy from their recent encounter with the mob of the Return to Life Dead. Bert has an instant response to Spider's inquiry.
Behind the phone, call the cops.
However, from a wall of fog ahead of them emerge a vast amount of ghouls running directly at them. Both men spitting out their disbelief of the vision before them.
What the fuck? Jesus H. Christ!
The cop car drags to a halt and instantly revs into reverse, and again, inducing a different curse from Spider.
Shit!
When the car is back to a point, Bert turns the wheel to point in another direction, slamming his patent leather loafers onto the gas pedal. Bert launches the car forward, the creatures now close enough to slam and grab the outside of the as it speeds by their grasp. Loudly, Bert announces their new goal.
Back to the warehouse!
Spinning the wheel wildly, Bert barrels towards the back employee entrance of the Uneeda warehouse. Again, the view through the front window has the action whipping past as the side of the building comes into view, only to be witness to a pair of monsters advancing towards them, without fear. Spider brings his arms up to block the horror descending upon them. As the monsters slam against the vehicle, they are tossed onto the hood. Bert's foot switches pedals suddenly, slamming down with full force, screeching towards a halt, which brings the front end of the vehicle to crash into the side of the building, pinning the legs of the creatures in place. Meanwhile, inside the warehouse, the loud disturbance alerts the two living people inside to rush forward forward towards the locked employee door. Chuck and Casey end up looking through the window located at the entry's side. Outside, Spider stumbles his way out of his side of the stuck vehicle, the sound of the animated corpses crying out. Spider turns back and reaches inside the vehicle and shouts a direction at Bert. As a fire starts to build at the vehicle's rear. Debris of the concrete surrounding the front. Spider pulls Bert from the pinned car. Inside, Chuck excitedly explains the recognition of their friend.
That's Spider.
And quickly sets to unlocking the red slide lock that was securing the door. As soon as it's done, he pulls it open just as Bert and Spider rush inside. Instantly, Bert grabs and slams the door shut. The instant visual recognition has Spider and Chuck meeting in a hug. Excitedly, Casey inquires about the others.
Hey, where is everybody?
After breaking the embrace, Spider states his lack of knowledge.
I don't know.
For Casey and Chuck, they study the stranger leaning against the relocked door. When Chuck inquires as to his identification,
Who's he?
Spider infers to his friend of the ownership of the building they are in.
He owns this place.
Chuck nods his recognition of Bert as Spider looks out the window and tells the older gentleman of the condition of the vehicle.
That fucking car is total, man.
Bert gives his exhausted hypothesis of the remaining cars.
It's all right. My car's still out there, and so's Frank's.
And as if on cue, the light of a sudden burst of flame flashes through the window, which causes Spider, Casey, and Chuck to jump back. The sound of fire mixed with the yelling animated dead. The four of them now crowd the window to witness the new disaster outside as Spider sarcastically adds the button on the situation.
Not anymore.
Meanwhile, back in the halls of the Resurrection Funeral Home, just outside the wee chapel of the Dawn, the crazy, blind, reanimated Freddy screams and howls loudly, stumbling and flailing his arms as he makes his way around. Not being able to see because of the nitric acid having been tossed into his eyes, shuffling his feet forward, he bounces from wall to wall. Knowing somewhere in the distance that he can smell live brains, if he can only make his way there. He bumps against the table, tossing the vase and flowers, toppling the table itself, his waving hands catching the light mounted on the wall. In his frenzied actions, he bends and deactivates one of the two lights. Crying out continuously, he moves forward, and that's where we end our minute. So again, like Dan had last week, we had a very short, again, these are all minute-long things, but so much happens in such a quick amount of time. There's not much actually does happen and all that sort of thing. So
a lot happens. It's just not a lot to describe upon further.
Yes, yeah.
I do like this chase scene. I always enjoyed it going through the cemetery. It felt like the car was so much further than it should have been.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
We'll get one of those police cars. See you later.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's kind of cool too, because again, we're dealing with like the budget that we're dealing with and like the stunt performers and whatnot. Now we're getting into the stunt portion of our movie. We have like people dodging out of the way of moving vehicles because we obviously have a camera mounted inside an actual moving vehicle. There's no, like we had said earlier, like the previous minute where it was like, oh, are these guys are obviously in the vehicle itself. They're not on the back of a truck and all that being pulled through and all that sort of thing. So this is the vehicle that they were using to both do the stunt and do the camera work and all that sort of thing. And again, this actually plays into it in this sequence as we come up to that wall of fog and creatures coming out of it, which apparently is a little further along than it is because they actually have to back up to turn into the Unita. So they almost had passed by the Unita warehouse. So I don't know where all these reanimated corpses are coming from, what other cemetery that amount of people are coming from.
They walked past and doubled back. No, this is the wrong way.
Yeah, exactly. But when we actually get to the point, and again, it's something like I had mentioned to Dan before we actually started recording, the amount of times that I've seen this movie, I probably would have never seen this particular thing if I hadn't just happened to pause it at the right particular moment. When the police car backs up and is about to turn to go back into the Unita warehouse, you actually can see, if you pause it at the right moment, you can see into the vehicle and that there are three passengers in the car. Now we don't see the actual driver, but we obviously know there is a driver because someone has to be driving it. But where on the passenger side door, you catch a red light in front, like possessed, like whatever it is, it's an object being held by the person in the passenger side seat. And if you look in the back seat, you can actually make out the arm and a bit of a body of someone in the back seat as well. So while I have no evidence for this, I believe this is where we get our interior shots of the actual vehicle. They shot it all at the exact same time. So there's
That
obviously
one go, yeah.
someone, yeah. So whoever's in the passenger side front seat is actually shooting through the windshield where you get all those shots. And then when you see a shot behind like Clu Gallagher and Miguel Nunez, the person in the back seat is also filming. It's obviously we've got a small portable camera and all that sort of thing, probably shooting like short film and all that sort of thing. But it's kind of neat too. And again, if you pause it like a frame or two past this point where I happen to grab it, you can't make it out. And if you go the other direction, you can't make it out either. I just happen to hit it the one point, and it's that red light that like, wait, there's something in the car and all that sort of thing. So you play with a little forward, a little back with the frames and all that sort of thing. And again, it's a blurred motion, so you can't really make out a lot of detail, but
Now that you know it, though, you will actually see it because there's a
oh
flashing
no,
light
for sure.
like
Oh, you
passenger
totally do.
side.
Yes, and it's I play it back regularly. I'm like, how could I have not seen that red light before? But
Yeah.
yeah, exactly, exactly. But again, it's something you don't. Again, it's something you discover in the process of doing a podcast like this. Like you study a minute over and over and over again to get as much details as possible, and then you just randomly happen to pause it at one particular sequence because you're writing a note. You look up at the screen and like, wait, what's that red light there? So yeah. So one of the other things is again, people have like I think Dan, you're the one that you and me were actually working on this problem months ago and all that sort of thing. Is no one from who's ever recreated Suicide's vehicle has been able to figure out what the license plate says. It
Yeah.
is so obscure. It's not really clear, no matter what version of it. And I've seen a 4K shot of that sequence and all that. And again, you still can't see like whatever it is. Originally, it wasn't shot clear enough to obviously be able to see and all that. But I can tell you that the license plate on the cop car is NH 4-990. So we have that bit of trivia in case that sort of thing comes up. But again,
Yeah.
that thing about Suicide's license plate, and it's not like it's the license plate is missing. There is something there. You can make out that there are lettering on that license plate, but it's so obscured by either lighting or the angle or whatever the debris of the
Just
sequence and all
didn't
that sort of
catch
thing.
it. Didn't
Yeah,
shine through, that's for sure.
exactly, exactly.
It's
Oh,
blurred like the whole time.
yeah, yeah. Um, Dan had mentioned something about the cardboard looking aspect of the sequence where the vehicle drives into the side of the wall, which I mentioned to him. I have a bit of explanation about that sort of thing, but one of the things is just as the car's about to actually come up to the wall and hit it, we can see a shot of the exterior of the door itself, the entry, the employee entry door. And a curious thing about it is, again, been watching this door for several times. You see it in different shots and all that sort of thing, but it's not until this particular minute that I realized the exterior does not match the interior, which
Oh,
is which is
not at
which is
all.
kind of weird. Yeah.
Looking at it now,
Um,
it's like
the
really
key,
different.
yeah, because on the outside you see that it's a deadbolt key and all that sort of thing, and a handle. And then if you refer to the inside where we go, where Chuck and Casey are, we see the inside of the door. And well, obviously you're not going to see that slide lock on the outside, but there is no interior bolt, like the slide bolt access, where you would have just like the little twist part where you can unlock it from the inside and all that sort of thing, or maybe a double key or whatever and all that sort of thing. But there's no interior mechanism for the lock that's on the outside. Speaking of the lock, the slide lock, again, it's something you only realize when you go back and forth, back and forth. Um, John Philbin does not slide that lock. when he excitedly jumps towards the door and like flips it up, he just flips up the thing and then flips it back down. He does not slide it and all that sort of thing, and then the door just magically opens, which technically means that the door was not locked to begin with, which is kind of a neat little thing. But again, it's something you only notice when you know that. So he just walks over, slides it up, slides it down, and then the door opens. And it's like there's no sideways movement. It's just an up and down. And if you listen to it, you listen to the clink clink, like you hear him click it up and click it down. There's the sound and all that sort of thing, but there's no slide movement at all on that slide bolt, which is kind of an interesting thing to see. Again, something you wouldn't notice unless you watch the same minute over and over again, making notes. So
They did a good job with angles though inside, so you couldn't really even tell the window was a little different and everything.
exactly, yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, and again, you're also dealing with this is not an actual building. This is a set that they're
Yeah.
standing in. The way they lit it and all that sort of thing, so you can't actually see it and all that. And again, we're not dealing with like the only real fire in this whole entire sequence was that little bit of flame at the back of the vehicle and all that sort of thing, which made for an interesting sequence, which actually also comes up in our next segment of over on the commentary track. And again, we are dealing with director Dan O'Bannon and William Stout, who is the production designer. So it starts off with this particular minute. Dan O'Bannon states how they used the nice kinetic energy as they bashed through the doors. And then, quote, bang, another location 20 miles away. Just to give a little bit of information, yes, the cemetery is shot in an olive grove, an actual like an olive grove that has a bunch of olive trees and all that sort of thing that they rented out and put all their fake tombstones and all that and built up the fake wall of both the cemetery wall and the back wall of the funeral parlor and all that. But as soon as you go into the roadway where Suicide's car is, that's another completely different location. Like Dan said, 20 miles away and all that sort of thing. So it's kind of neat how, and again, they did that earlier when the punks enter the cemetery. They bang the door open, and as soon as they step through, they come like 20 miles later, stepping through the archway, become 20 miles later, 20 miles difference in location. So Dan O'Bannon then mentions how the wall of smoke is easy to apply, but one gets a very dramatic effect from the fog following the zombies, especially given how easy it is to do. And as Bert drives into the zombies, William Stout says how much they storyboarded this sequence so that they only needed to build exactly what they needed. So there's the explanation why it looks so flimsy, Dan. It's just like, okay, we just have to make this tiny little setup for this particular sequence so we don't have to shoot anymore, don't have to build anymore. So that's why it looks a little bit flimsy, especially when they drive into it, because it is pretty much just a fake wall that they obviously it is a fake wall because you're not going to drive them into a real wall, and then of course you dress it to make it look more damaged and all that sort of thing.
Yeah, you'll see the front of the well, it's an old cop car, but it's not very crumpled at all, and
exactly,
it has a chrome bumper on it, and the stuntman did a brilliant job of like getting right on top of the hood, so that way when they hit, they were just slid a little forward and didn't actually impact the wall and everything.
Yeah, no, the placement, especially when you look that aerial shot, really shows off how well that coordinated whole entire thing sequence was done. So back to the commentary track, Dan O'Bannon says how the line producer was grousing about the fire and stating how that he wanted the engine out of the car because they couldn't afford it. So once we actually are at the vehicle where it's in the wall, it's a junk car. It's a non-working vehicle. It's a completely different vehicle than the stunt car that they used and all that sort of thing. So obviously we have two different stunt cars. We got the one that drove into the wall with the zombies on top, and then just replace it with the permanent one that obviously is not going to catch fire because the actual fire in the back is not going to burn anything and all that.
Yeah.
All right. So that's where that ends.
Could you imagine that part being played, like the part of Bert being played by Leslie Nelson?
It seems at this point in his career, because he's just coming off of doing like a Police Squad. He hasn't quite done Naked Gun yet. I don't think Naked Gun has been released yet and all that, but he's still in that like goofy sort of thing. But I could see him maybe kind of backtracking into doing, Because again, we're talking there's humor in the role for sure, but
It's just weird. I'm trying to picture it, and I just can't because he has such a different way of acting.
yeah, no, he would definitely not be the character that Clu Gallagher bring to that. That is for sure. That is for sure. But I could see, but his look though, I mean, he does match the look of what Bert is described as being, which I mean, obviously, we're going to go with whoever the actor becomes the role as what you identify as the character, but I think the look of a Clu Gallagher or a Leslie Nielsen sort of similarly match.
Uh,
Um, I again,
it's the acting though. It's the way
oh
the
yeah,
only way I remember Leslie Nielsen acting in everything I've seen him in. It's just hard for me to picture him being panicky like that.
yeah, that's
That's
true, that's true. Yeah, yeah, I got you. I see what you're saying. Yeah, I don't think he'd be able. Yeah, I mean, he probably could, but again, we know him as more of the comedic actor and all that sort of thing, so it's kind of hard to, yeah. All right, so we are dealing with the story and screenplay by Dan O'Bannon. And again, this is the revision from October of 1983. This is based on a story and screenplay by John Russo, Rudy Ricci, and Russell Steiner. So we start with interior car, night, moving, rain. I like how the script has still has the rain going on, so no matter what would happen, any of these characters are going to get soaked no matter what time of the night it is. All right, meet. Where the fuck do we get help? Bert, I gotta find a phone. Call the cops. There's a phone in my warehouse. Bert twists the wheel and they squeal around the corner, their headlights sweeping the desolate industrial district. Suddenly, a corpse leaps onto the hood of the car. Crash! It clings there, staring in the windshield at them. They react. The corpse starts beating on the windshield, trying to break it. Bert swerves the car, trying to hurl the corpse off. The corpse clings and breaks the windshield with its fists. The corpse slips to one side and is hanging on the partway off the fender. When Bert sees that, he cuts the wheel and drives right into the sidewalk, bringing the side of the car into contact with the cemetery wall. The corpse is scraped off. Bert cuts the wheel and they are back onto the pavement. Meet. Christ almighty! The medical supply warehouse looms up in the headlights. Bert. There! The Bert guns the car straight for the door. Several corpses stand around the outside of the door. Bert continued. Get ready! Bert floors it, running over the corpses and smashing right into the wall, crushing the front of the car in the process. Meat and Bert leap out of the car, which explodes and runs up to the warehouse back door. Bert fishes out his keys and opens the door hurriedly. Interior, warehouse, night, rain. As they rush into the semi-darkness, two figures jump them. There's a struggle and cursing. Somebody, hold it, hold it! We're human! The fighting abruptly ceases. A light is turned on. Chuck and Casey stand there, panting and bruised. They stare at each other for a moment. Casey, oh, thank God! We thought you were more of them. Chuck, where's everyone else? Meat. Listen, we're screwed. That was a car, and it blew up. Bert, not to worry. I've still got my car in the parking lot out there. There's a second explosion and a flash of light. They run and look out at the barred window. Meet. Not anymore. Cut to interior, mortuary, hallway, night, rain. Crash. Freddy smashes a hole in the chapel doors. Snarling, wide-eyed, Freddy shoves his body through the shattered door panels, ignoring the damage it does to his body. His eyes are glazed over and blind. So the script has, obviously, because the movie itself is edited slightly different than the script that they deal with. So at this point is when we have Freddy come out, and obviously he's escaped a few moments earlier just to change around the pacing of the movie, and that's where we end our sequence of the actual script. So that's going to bring us to the final sequence of what we do for our podcast, and that's going to be the work print comparison, which is where when you finish filming your entire film, you assemble all the shots that you have together, and what you do is you then deal with having to edit that down to your final version. So as it is, we have our current movie where we are minute 75 to 76. The work print is actually at minute 92:41 to 94. So we get a little more extra as well, which is always a nice thing to see. So when Bert drives towards the line of creatures, we have insert shots of Clu Gallagher looking backwards as the car shifts into reverse. So that is another reason why we actually have our passenger in the backseat, because we got to capture that shot and all that. And then after another insert of shot of Clu turning the steering wheel, the stunt of the cop car and running into the actual wall and Spider pulling Bert out of the car are actually missing from the work print. This version has Spider say he's cool when Chuck asks about Bert's identification. And at this point of the work print, Freddy frees himself from the chapel. Like in the script, we actually have Freddy like finally getting through the door and all that sort of thing. Except for in the final version, we just have him down the hallway, and that's where we catch up with that. And that's all we have for that work print and all that. Okay, now. So that's that basically brings us to the end of our talk about this particular minute and all that sort of thing. Anything else you want to add to this particular minute there, Dan?
No, I can't actually think of much more trivia of that section. Not at all, actually.
Yeah, exactly.
It's pretty action-packed. It's fun. It's got a lot happening.
Yeah. Yeah, we're gonna deal with a little bit of action, all that sort of thing. We got a sequence in the embalming room coming up that we got to deal with. Yeah. And then we have a final encounter with one of the I think our final appearance of any of our featured creatures and all that sort of thing. Because if I'm not mistaken, I don't think we ever see the half corpse again for the rest of this movie. But yeah, and then we hit a little bit of a slowdown where we come to the epic conclusion of what happens in the story. But again, we've got like 14 minutes left of the movie and all that sort of thing. And I mean, that's actually including 2.5 minutes of credits. So we got like just about 10-12 minutes left of the movie and all that. So all right. So
wow.
Yeah, we are coming down to the end of it. So again, thank you, Dan, for hopping on here at the last minute to save my butt to not make it another boring just Troy talking to nobody sort of episode again. I thank you for that. Audience again, thanks. Hey, we're almost there. Just hang on a little longer. We're getting some exciting stuff coming up in the near future with the podcast and the conclusion of the movie coming up within the next 2 months. It sounds like a lot, but it's not that many episodes because, again, at a weekly basis, we're going to be doing this till the end of January, and that's what we have left. Again, if anyone's out there that's listening to this, you're probably a fan of the movie, and well, hopefully you would be. You're at this point in the podcast, and you're still listening. But you know what? Point this out to someone else who's also enjoys the movie and all that sort of thing. There's so what there is there's only, I think, for the rest of the year, there's only 2 more conventions in North America to mark out the end of this year where you can meet and greet the cast members from the movie and all that sort of thing as they're traveling as a group in a couple of these locations and all that. So you can go to November 22nd to 23rd, Days of the Dead Chicago in Chicago, Illinois, where you'll be able to meet the entire cast. December 5th to 7th, Days of the Dead, Indianapolis, Indiana, where you'll be able to meet the entire cast. All right, so that being said, once again, Dan, thank you for joining me. Audience, thanks for coming along on this journey, and I got nothing else to say except see you next Wednesday.
You've just been listening to a Planet Geek production of Do You Want to Party? A Movies by Minute podcast of the 1985 The Return of the Living Dead. Please be sure to subscribe, download, comment, share, rate, and review. Be sure to follow us on our social media platforms: Facebook, YouTube, TikTok, Tumblr, or Letterboxd. Search for Planet Geek Productions. X, former Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky, search for Planet Geek Pod. Or send us an email to planetgeekpod@gmail.com. Our closing music is provided by Night Chill. See the show notes for more details. Once again, thanks for tuning in, and farewell, fiends.
All right. Paperwork's too close to my face. I don't need to wear my glasses. After breaking the embrace, Spider states his lack of knowledge for do. After breaking, I didn't put punctuation there. That's where I should have paused there.
Ah.
All right, now I just got to bring up because I forgot to load up my script. And let's go to this button here, and then we will go to this button here. And then we will change to that account here because this was so under. All right, here we go. We go to my photos, and we come up with the script. Nope, that's not the script. Where are we going? There we go. All right. So we are dealing with now the screen's too far away, and I need my glasses. There they are, right there. Ah, the magic of editing. All right, now let's bring Dan back up here so I can see him looking at me. All right, here we go.